Hello everyone, my name is Oyetosho Oludamilola. I created a platform for sharing of accounting ideas where we can all learn from, we can discuss, we can re-strategize and also learn new things. So I thought of creating a platform where I can teach people via video on how to on IFRS. Now, the first presentation I'll be releasing is Introduction to IFRS. From time to time, I'll be releasing a lot of presentations on IFRS. Now, IFRS. What is IFRS? Now, IFRS is an acronym for International Financial Reporting Standard, issued by the ISB. Who is ISB? International Accounting Standard Board is ISB. They develop IFRS standards. An IFRS standard is a set of standards recognized globally for preparation of financial statements. Kindly know that IFRS is grouped into 4 categories. The first one is International Financial Reporting Standard. These are standards issued after 2001. The second one is interpretation originated by the IFRS Interpretation Committee called IFRIC, issued after 2001. Kindly note that the first 2 standards mentioned, they are standards issued by the ISB. Now, the remaining 2 standards are International Accounting Standard issued before 2001 and Standing Interpretation Committee issued before 2001. These are standards developed by the IASC, International Accounting Standard Committee. But when IASB was replacing IASC, they also took over all the standards issued by IASC. So what we call IFRS today is International Financial Reporting Standard, International Accounting Standard, International Financial Reporting Interpretation Committee, and Standing Interpretation Committee. These 4 components are what we call IFRS. How is IFRS developed? Like I've explained before, ISC was established in 1973 and the first IS standard was issued in 1975. But in 2001, another body was developed to replace IASC due to changes in what is happening in the country, globally rather. So the new body that was developed is IASB. Note that IASB issued IFRS and IFRIC, while IASC issued IAS and SIC. But when IASB was taken over from IASC, they took over all the standards issued by IASC. Now, IASB have been issuing standards. Now, and the standard issued by IASB sometimes supersedes standard issued by IASC. Let me give an example. ISB issued a standard called IFRS 15, revenue, for revenue recognition. We also have revenue recognition standard in IAS. But when ISB issued a standard called IFRS 15 for revenue recognition, the standard superseded IAS 18 standard. So as time goes on, we will have more IFRS standard and less IAS standards. And it will get to a point in time where we will no longer even have IAS standards again, because all the new IFRS standards created and the ones that will be created in the future, issued in the future, will supersede IAS standards. Why do we really need IFRS? There are a lot of benefits using IFRS for preparation of account. Now, major one is comparability. Entities in different companies will be able to compare their accounts. If you are in Japan, you are in a country, you can compare your account with companies in Nigeria. And it's when when the issue of comparability is resolved, then it means that an account most times will be reliable and relevant. Now, it helps in simplification of group accounts. Yeah, because most companies, they have subsidiaries in another country. And when it's at the end of the financial year, they're expected to consolidate the account. So it makes it more simpler to consolidate, because the accounting policy, the standard being used by the parent company is still the same standard being used by the subsidiary. It encourages growth in cross-border trading, and also companies will have access to international finance. Change in terminology. Now, due to the adoption of IFRS, some terminologies have changed in accounting related issues. Now, what we call statement of financial position, what we call balance sheet rather, is now called statement of financial position. That doesn't mean that we can't call it balance sheet. The standard says we can still call it balance sheet as long as we comply to the relevant requirements of IAS 1 in preparation of the standard, preparation of the financial statement. We also call it statement of cash flow. Before, we call it cash flow statement. What we call debtors and creditors is called receivables and payable. What we call fixed asset before is now called property, plant and equipment. What we call minority interest under Nigerian GAAP is now called non-controlling interest. What we call movement in reserve is now called changes in equity. Profit and loss account is now statement of comprehensive income. Yes, truly, profit and loss account is not right, because you cannot make profit and at the same time make loss. It's either you make profit or you make loss. And when you look at the aspect of fixed asset versus property, plant and equipment, there's nothing fixed. When you purchase an item, as long as you start using it, the value depreciates. So we can't call it fixed assets. So that is why it's changed to property, plant and equipment. What we call stock is now called inventory. What we call turnover under income is now called revenue. A lot of changes in the terminologies. There are other issues regarding IFRS. We look at impairments, which we don't have under our Nigerian GAAP before, componentization, valuation, fair value, related parties, transactions. Now, these issues will be treated under respective standards, but I'll just pick one or two, which is componentization. Now, most times when we purchase an asset, what we do is just depreciate the asset together without bearing in mind that an asset can have different components. Now, when you purchase an aircraft has different components: the body, the fitting, the engine, and so on. So when you use one useful life to depreciate such an asset, you are not presenting a reliable information to the users of the financial statement. So that is why IFRS introduced what is called componentization. Meaning, when you have an asset that can be componentized, then you do componentization. This is a truck, which is componentized into 3 parts. Meaning, the useful life for each part, each component are different. This can be 10 years, another one can be 5 years, another one can be 15 years. Now, let's look at an example. A building belonging to XYZ Limited, valued at 50 million, has a useful life of 50 years. Now, the question just says a building belonging to XYZ Limited. So, the question is silent about componentization. Now, the question is, what is the annual depreciation on a straight line basis? Meaning, assuming there is no componentization, what will have been the depreciation? Since there is no componentization, depreciation will just be 50 million divided by 50 years, and that will give us 1 million per annum. But let's look at it in the aspect of componentization. Now, let's look at it for the same building. The protective roofing and the HVAC system could be valued at 5 million each, with a useful life of 15 years for protective roofing and 10 years for HVAC. Meaning, the total value of the building is 50. The protective roofing is 5 million, while the HVAC is 5 million naira. So, we have 3 components: protective roofing, HVAC, and other components. Protective roofing is 5 million with a useful life of 15 years. HVAC 5 million with a useful life of 10 years, while other component is 40 million with a useful life of what? 50 years. Now, what will be the annual depreciation based on componentization? Now, the building 40 years divided by 50 will give us 800,000. HVAC 5 million divided by 10 years will give us 500. Protective roofing 5 million divided by 15 years will give us 333. When we add up the annual depreciation for these three components, we will have 1.6 million. Now look at the material difference. Assuming we did not do componentization, we will be depreciating 1 million as against 1.6, meaning we are under depreciating our assets. And the beautiful part of componentization is that if you do componentization and a particular component gets spoiled and you want to change it, it will be very easy for you to determine the carrying value of such components. But when you depreciate an asset as a whole and you change a component, it will be very difficult for you to determine the net book value, what we now call carrying value, of that component you are changing. And this will result for you in discounting, which we'll be discussing under IAS 37. So the standard says that it is very good to do componentization, and it is very good to also apply IAS 16, but ensure, and also it is also good for you to apply IFRS standard, but ensure that when you're applying the standard, the revenue, the cost you incur in applying the standard do not overweigh the benefit, because what is the essence? When the cost you are incurring in applying the standard is higher than the revenue you are generating or the benefit you are generating, then there is no point. So ensure that at the point of applying a standard, the benefit you will enjoy rather overweigh the cost incurred. The standard says that's. Now, what are the list of IFRS standards? I forgot to mention that we have a lot of IFRS standards. IAS, IFRS, SIC, IFRIC. Now, these are the active ones. As of today, we have IAS 24. We have 24 IAS. We have 5 SIC. We have 17 IFRS. We have 16 IFRIC. These are the ones active as at today. And these are the list of IFRS. For IAS, we have IAS 1 to 41. Some standards, some numbers are omitted because they've been superseded by IFRS. If you see, we don't have IAS 3, 4, 5, 6. They have been superseded with another standard, IFRS standard. We also have IFRIC, which is an interpretation to IFRS. We have SIC, which is an interpretation to IAS. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the video. More videos will be uploaded soon. Thank you.